I know it might be weird, but just give it a go. Imagine that instead of working hard and forcing yourself to finish that damn task, you are inspired and excited to work on it. Instead of being annoyed at people on social media, you start feel like them. Hashtag grateful. You are in charge. And even when the things are not going your way, you have this inner trust that it's all happening for best. And if not this, then something better will come your way. You don't even know when, but you start to live the life of your dreams. Even though at the moment you can't even think that this could be possible or available for you, you have this feeling that you are being challenged more than other people around you, or you are working your ass off with nothing to show for, and the idea of let go and relax, and it just doesn't suit you. So in this episode, you will learn how to start creating your dream life using a simple manifestation process. You might be skeptical at this point, but this week's task will truly blow your mind. Number one, verify if all the things that we are talking is true. Number two, I know that there is voice inside of you telling you like, ooh, that could be right. You will confirm it. And number three, you will see what are you capable of doing.
Hi, this is Brian and Julia of The Joy Link, where we share with you simple strategies and tools to attract more joy into your life. Connect with us on Facebook for your daily dose of joy, and come back next week to find out a secret on how to boost your mood in 30 seconds during the winter months. Definitely thanks for spending your precious time with us to learn how to be more joyful and support a more joyful world. Your added energy is very much appreciated. Now, what have we got lined up for you today? Well, in the next 30 minutes, we'll support you to remember the art of manifestation and how to really make things happen that you want in your life with simple solutions, strategies, and tools that can bring you what you really want in life. Even if you're feeling overwhelmed and don't know where to start, or you're just not getting the experience you want with money, friends, work, all of it. With the insights and tools from this episode, you'll know how best to focus your energy to produce a life that's fulfilling, satisfying, and full of joy. Now, how Julie and I can really talk so in depth about manifestation as well, we've done tons of extensive research and experimented independently to gain lots of experience into working with the power of our minds and our realities in ways that we can explain to you today. So we can really bring it to you in a simple, well thought out way that works. So let's dive right in.
Yes, and actually, I feel like I did manifested Brian because it was at the, I think, second quarter of last year when I did not know if I can transition to do something a little bit different. And I was focusing on working in the coffee industry. And then my friend was like, oh, why are you focusing on that? Now, when I think about it, it took so many different turns. So, and then I remember Brian on the call, which was very specific, right? Because you had the business in design for so many years and you were getting into life coaching. So it was just quite very uniquely aligned, I would say. There were very little odds for that to happen.
Right. I would definitely say we both had agreed to manifest this experience, right? Within 5 minutes, we were both in the frequency or state of joy. And so we just kept in touch, and there you go, right? It was serendipity that brought us together. And that's how manifestation can happen sometimes. So you got to look out for that.
Yes. So in this episode, I think there is this one concept that we all heard of. And there was this movie in 2006 called The Secret. And that really popularized the concept of the law of attraction. So basically, it is quite simple. It's that we work like a little magnet, and that our thoughts they lead to feelings, and the feelings leads to actions, and that gives us results. So basically, whatever you think of, this is super powerful. So basically, you might have experienced that already. So for example, when you have a really good day, like you don't mind, red light, you can wait. Traffic, oh, that must be, it's okay. I have the time. I left earlier, no matter what is happening, you are in the good mood. And then you just feel like everything is just opening doors to you. You get stuff for free. People are friendly. It just feels so easy, right? And smoothless. And then on the opposite, let's say when you have the shittiest day ever, you feel like everything is just against you, that you just like, it's just not so good. So basically, that's one of the examples of the law of attraction. There are three laws of attraction, and one is like attract like. Brian, can you help me with an example?
Right? So you're having a bad day. You woke up on the wrong side of the bed and you don't know why, right? And you go to brush your teeth and your toothbrush isn't charged. And then you walk downstairs and you step in something wet and now your socks are all wet. And then, right, you're getting more and more frustrated. You walk outside and the car won't start. And then it just keeps snowballing. And yeah, that is just a simple way to see that you're actually creating more of it, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger of the same type of energy that is frustrating. It doesn't make you feel good, and it's just, yeah, life sucks. So yes, and the same thing can happen with feeling good. So yeah, like does attract like, compound over time.
And it's the same with people. Actually, I was on the phone last night with one of the family members, and I heard something like, oh, this friend of mine is, I was just like, wow. I was like, and I said, you know that you are attracting it, right? And he wasn't so happy about it, because I'm like, I have never came across this experience. So there is something within you that you experience, that brings it to
Right.
you, because I'm sorry, but I cannot relate to this. And it's not coming from compassion, but it's coming from the place like, wow, that is interesting, and this is an opportunity.
Right.
And I do the same with everyone, and it's also in my life, right? Whatever is happening, why is it here? What are my thoughts? What are my behaviors? And I think it's something that I really noticed in the past 2 years, especially since I started my business, that I had so many thoughts and feelings that they weren't so positive about money. And therefore, that was reflected in my reality. And it was the same in the past with relationships. Because of my thoughts about relationships, I wasn't in the good ones. So it's just so fascinating. And it's also relationship with my parents. I think this has transformed so much over the past few years. Yeah, it's like whatever you think of, that's what you attract. So, and then there is another rule of, which is nature abhors a vacuum. It's quite interesting. It's a little bit like going shopping. And then when you hold so much into your hands, like you have, right, so many things, and then somebody hands you like a big milk or whatever, and then you cannot take it without dropping it. So that's the thing, is that if you don't make space for new, then the new won't come in. So for example, that's why it's so important to let go. And it's like the policy of exchange, but sometimes you need to be comfortable with being alone or not having something for a while, because you exchange this for the benefit of something else.
Right. Yes. If you're holding too much stuff, right, then you can't hold there's no space for anything new. It's like if you have a glass of water, if it's totally full, then you can't have anything new put in. You first got to empty some out to have space for something new.
Yeah. And I feel like, Brian, the third one, maybe we can show them.
How the present is always perfect.
Yeah. Can you give it a go? Close your eyes. Feel in your body. Take a deep breath through your nose and then out through your mouth. Notice the body temperature. Think about what is it that it's not, that you are lacking in this given moment when you are standing and focusing on your body. You are warm. Probably you are full. You are loved, you are secured. I hope it worked because this is pretty much the concept, right? Because I feel like there are like thousands books about this concept, but it's just so hard to get it that it's not about, right? We are trying to intellectualize this concept so much, but it's literally like, you good. That's it.
Right. Yes. Yeah, it definitely worked. It definitely worked. The moment is perfect just the way it is. It's just, are we able to accept it? And they
Yeah.
realize that by dropping everything else and actually being here in the moment.
Exactly. And I feel like this is where a lot of things are going wrong because we have these expectations. So when somebody says no to something or does the things doesn't go our way, because we're yeah, I feel like that's what Brian you started to say, right? Like we are often in the future and the past, but we are rarely here. And actually before the recording of the episode, we have this conversation that it's pretty much like every day it's a new start, but because we want to be somewhere, because we want to get somewhere, so living in the future, we cannot truly enjoy it. So
Right.
what a profound message.
Yeah. I was just being in the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like
Yes. Fantastic. Right.
yeah, so you might be thinking that like, oh my God, what is wrong with these two? Like, what is this bullshit and all of that? So based on the law of attraction, I think manifestation was born, right? Or manifestation and then the law of attraction was born. How does it work, Brian?
First the laws and then the results. Right.
Yes. So if you feel like the word of manifestation or the law of attraction is something that hippies came up with, I'm sorry, but you are wrong. And actually, CIA, to be more precise, Monroe Institute, they've made these experiments and studies in 1983 that were declassified like over 20 years ago. It was called Gateway Process. So you can read about it and you will find about manifestation, about like breathing exercises, how to relax your body, that you're supposed to focus on what you want. It's insane. It's pretty much what manifestation is. But CIA, we're looking into it as well because it's the law. It's like gravity. If you drop something, it will happen. The same as with manifestation. The more you think about it, the more things will happen. But the truth is that people don't like this concept because that would make you responsible for everything what is happening in your life. And it's a tough pill to swallow.
Yes. So getting clear on the science that's out there is the first step in changing your reality. A couple other places I would go is both neuroscience, which tells us that we create our own reality. So you can dig into that. And then also quantum physics, telling us everything is possible. We simply have to align with it. Definitely DYOR, do your own research, and you want some freedom, then it's there. You simply have to go and find it.
Yeah, and I know it sucks, but it's true.
Yeah, there's some work involved.
Yeah, it sucks to admit, right? Like, but it's also okay, I'm the problem. Wow. Then it means that I'm the solution, and that gives you so much power, and that gives you this like victor mindset, and just so good in the long run.
Right.
So the thing is, when we talk about manifestation, that either you know it or not, you are manifesting. So now we will teach you the process of the conscious manifestation. And maybe, Brian, let's give them a story on the topic.
I have a good manifestation story that really changed my life overnight. And I was at the point where I had started my own design business. I went freelance, but the clients weren't showing up, and I didn't know what to do. And I was becoming more and more and more frustrated day after day. And like, what do I do? I'm doing everything I can, but nothing is happening. Right. So I was really in that energy. And so the most important thing I did in that moment was actually ask, what do I do? Right. Because as soon as I understood that I didn't know what to do, then I could ask. And I waited for my intuition to come up with the answer. And it was instant, right? I was so frustrated, and I asked, what do I do? The message came in that said, rent your room. The mind is overthinking a lot, and there's so much going on that sometimes you just have to like freak out, and then you will get so clear in that moment that you'll actually allow some new information to come in. Right then I saw that I was living in a flat that had 2 rooms that were empty, and it was a good time for Airbnb coming up. And so I go, okay, well, let me just take some pictures and put them online. And I had 2 different rooms, and I brought in bookings for the next 6 months within about 5 days. So it was like $10,000 came in just like that, right? It's like, what do I do? Well, rent your room. The thing is that I had all the tools available to me already. I simply didn't have the right mindset. So when I cleared that out and then actually followed the instruction, then I was able to manifest, let's say, some more interaction with people, some more. I actually started working with a couple of people that rented the rooms too, as like collaborations, and that supported some more design work, and yeah, everything kind of opened up from there.
Amazing. I absolutely love that story because sometimes, and this is depends on the deal that you have with the universe or the God, creator, however you call the greater power. I think we all feel like there is something out there. So often we are very fixated about, for example, all the money has to come in only from one source. And actually, this is something that I do. So when I'm, whenever I'm stressed about money or anxious, I'm writing 10 to 15 ideas how the money can come in. And those ideas could be ridiculous, right? And that's what I did with a friend, because it's just so easy to stress out about money for half an hour and like, and see the awful scenario. And again, what you focus on magnifies, right? So when you focus on the opportunities and you actually open yourself to that, then you will get the other results. And for example, like just see the money coming in, and it's also, yeah, so it's just amazing. And how does conscious manifestation process work? So first, number one, a lot of people, they know exactly what they don't want, and that's what they are focusing on. So what is important in this one, that you get clear on what you want. So you are crystal clear on what you want, and that's what you are focusing towards. This is what I want. Majority of motivational speakers, life coaches, they are talking about one thing, this over and over. When you have the focus for what you want, that makes more clarity into your life, and that helps you align the actions with it.
That's a really good point. It's our focus that matters. So there is a big difference between focusing on having something and focusing on wanting something. It all comes down to our focus. And the Tibetan Buddhists have this 2-minute rule. And what they say is that when you focus on one thing for 2 minutes, it will begin manifesting somewhere out in the world and begin coming to you. And that's how really powerful we are. And the funny thing is nowadays the science really matches up with that. It validates it. So we have to really ask ourselves, what are we focusing on? Are we focusing on the negative stuff? Well, then here it comes, right? But the positive stuff, and here that comes too.
And also sometimes if you don't know what you want, because I know many people that they don't really know what they want, you get the negative stuff happening to you, because that will help you make your mind, right? Like, because when you know, like, okay, this is exactly what I don't want, that will help you to get step closer to the things that you want. And actually that leads to the second step. So basically, when you know what you want, you need to embody the version of the person that is already living it or have it, right? So you need to feed it through the emotions. So whatever you are manifesting, you need to think like, okay, how I would feel if I would already have it. And then you can visualize it, you can practice it. I know that Abraham Hicks is saying that 17 seconds is all what it takes. So just make a list of 5 emotions that they are associated with the thing that you have it, and just feel it. And actually, I can give you an example how I manifested my boyfriend without going for a single date or downloading Tinder, Bumble, or any other app. or hanging out at the bars. That's a few years ago. I was at this point when I saw a guy and he had a red flag. And I was like, I can either go for it and just ignore it or just choose myself. I chose myself. And then I was like, okay, let me work on myself to the extent that I will impress myself instead of impressing a partner. Let me be impressive to myself, right? And as we all know, we have higher standards to ourselves than other people. And that's exactly what I did. I focused on my health, I focused on my business, and to the extent that I was not even interested in anyone. I wasn't even interested. And when I realized that I'm not interested, I opened myself to the opportunity. And each time when somebody was asking me, like, Julia, when you will find a boyfriend, finding is energy not having. So I was like, no, he will find me. Like, I'm not looking. No, I wasn't. I was saying, I'm not looking. I'm not looking. So that's it, because I was so in love in my life, with my life. I was so in love with myself. I was so in love with the friends that I had. And actually, based on this, like I wrote a letter to like this how I want to feel with that person, like this high letter about all the feelings. Yeah, it was super emotional. I read it to a few friends of mine and they were crying when I was reading it. So I really nailed down on the emotions. They were like, that's exactly what I have or what I want, or it was just so fun. So basically that would happen. And here actually, so this man that I used to date at some point years back, we were not in touch. He reached out to me and I was clearly not interested. And then this is the fourth step of the manifestation process, but I will spoiler it a bit. So I wasn't interested. I was about to travel for 3 weeks. I came back and I just did not feel like reaching out, right? And one day I was 2 weeks, I think it was almost 2 months after he messaged me, or a month, right? I was sitting by the desk and a quote from a book came to my mind. The book is called The Conversation from the God, that the God is only sending angels in our way, and every single person in your life is a gift. And this curious thought out of the blue came to my head. If the God is only sending angels our way, what the heck he wanted? That's it. This curious thought made me to send a text message. Okay, when is this coffee? That's it. That was the inspire action that I took. And the rest is history, because I think it's been close to a year and a half and it's going really well. So yeah, it's just
Yeah, it's definitely a beautiful story. You know how you can really focus on the having and really experiencing that, writing it down, feeling those emotions, sharing them with others. And then when they test you, asking you, hey, what are you doing to find a boyfriend? You're you're stating again out to the universe, I'm not looking and I'm ready when he arrives. Right? It's that energy of having, not wanting. Because when we have it and we're in the energy and frequency of having something, then the universe has no choice but to give it to you because you are in the frequency of having it. It's very simple.
Yeah, it's simple, but it is confusing. So you don't have it, but you must act like have it. Be grateful for it, and then you will have it even if you don't have it. I totally get it. It is confusing, and it does get confusing sometimes as well. But that's how it works. But I feel like that leads to, because it is that easy, and you can see a lot of people that the things are just happening effortlessly to them, right? But perhaps this is the step number 3, that you may have some limiting beliefs about, right, whatever you are manifesting.
Right. And so it's important to be conscious of those beliefs that are running our lives in the background. And when they come up in our awareness, to really ask those very interesting questions of how is this serving me? Is it limiting or is it expansive? And, manifestation is a skill and you've got to work at it daily. And so that daily focus on being who you are, who you want to be. And the more you do it, the more emotional blocks and limiting beliefs will come up to test to see who you are living as, right? To meet those new practices head on and actually call bullshit. on who you are and who you want to be. And that's really the point, right? To embrace the journey and the process by clearing out all of the lies that you find along the way so that you can really get clear in your manifestation process so that can come through more easily.
And for example, when you are manifesting with health, oh, I cannot lose weight because of my genetics. Or it could be with love, that love needs to be hard, right? If we
Right.
don't argue, that means that she or he doesn't care, you know? That was my belief. Like my parents were arguing a lot when I was little. So this is what I made in my mind. So this is something that it's sometimes coming up. Like my boyfriend at the beginning, he said, like, Julia, I don't think that you think that we're on the same team. So it was just so fascinating to see. So, of course, going through, and you can have the beliefs about money, for example, and finances, that I need to work hard for my money, or like the money can come only through the job, which is so not true. So it's all up to, and sometimes what helps, you can just hang out with a person that have what you want to have or already established it, and just see how they think. Just if you can hang out in person, that's great. Otherwise, read the book, listen to their podcast, do all these things, and you will find out. Yeah. Or just practice your imagination, like in the step 2, right? So just imagine the version, or yeah. Yes. And then the next step in this is to embrace the baby steps. And as I told you about the story, when I had the thought and all I need to do is to send the text. So it's all about taking the inspired action when it comes.
Right. We've got to actually show up in the real world and act on making this our new reality, right? It's going from choosing it to acting on those choices. So it's not just closing your eyes and hoping and being all positive. Nope, that's only half of it. It's then time to really get your hands dirty with inspired action.
Exactly. Yeah. And that leads to the last step,
Yeah, and that's the focus on the process.
which is the hardest one, I would say.
Right. This is when we're letting go of timelines and deadlines and simply by embracing the process of showing up every day for this goal, this vision of who you want to be and being it, then no matter what comes up in your reality, you will continue to focus on being that and surrendering the control of when, and trust fully that it'll happen because you're showing up for it. That's the final stage, let's say, right? Instead of I can do it and I can make it happen and this is when I want it, it's no, I'm acting as it is here right now. And even if I don't see it out there in my reality, I'm going to surrender to when it really comes in.
Yeah.
And I can just be it right now so that I can quicken it up.
Exactly. And a good example is, for example, would the person that they are in the great relationship, would they be spending their evenings on Tinder, right? Would the person that is good with money worried about them, right? Would the person that is in the healthiest version of themselves, would they actually, I don't know, check their weight 5 times a day? Would that happen or not? I don't think so, right? Would a person that it's a successful business owner, and you know, for example, that you need to do, I don't know, outreach, let's say, would be complaining about it? No, absolutely not. It's just that's what it sometimes takes. So it's all about focusing on the process. And what is, I heard about this cool tip, so you just need to think, like, if you don't want to do something because it feels uncomfortable and it is aligning with the thing that you are manifesting, is like, if I'm done with it, does it feel good to be done with it? Does it move me closer to where I want to be? If the answer is no, then maybe don't do it. But if the answer is yes, then that should spike you some motivation.
Right. That is the hard part. Looking directly at those difficult tasks that are along the way, those hurdles that are saying, well, you've got to do this if you want that. Right? Because it's in direct path to that thing, that goal. And then choosing to do the hard work.
Yes, or just the work. It doesn't need to be
Or just
hard,
the
but
work. Right.
Sometimes it could be challenging, that's for sure. And I can give you a really good example. So when I was 16, I wrote this list, things like I think I was always like knowing that maybe there is non-infinite time that I have. So perhaps I should get going and live the life how I want to. So when I was 16, I made this list the things that I want to do before I die. And one of them was like to surf in Hawaii. So being from Poland, Hawaii seems super far. And that's what I wrote. And then I think it was in my 20s. I went to the US as an au pair. And I think I was like the biggest emotional terrorist before that, before I born on before I stepped in the plane. I was just like out of the emotional wagon. Like my poor parents, they had to deal with me. I was just so anxious, so full of fear. Like I was just, I don't know what would have taken over me. It was just so uncomfortable because it required for me to move from Poland to board like a overnight flight, first time in my life, for I think 8 to 10 hours to move to New Jersey to live with a stranger family, to drive every single day. Like I had no experience in doing that, right? So I was just crazy, 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 crazy. Like I was screaming, oh my gosh, it was just insane. And then when I went there and there was this training at the beginning, I was really sick and it was all fine. And then I remember that when I met my like the person the mom of the boys that I took care of, I remember like when I was with her in the car, like the first time when she was driving, she was talking a little bit about the boys, how is the routine, and she was like, "Oh, and by the way, I just want to tell you, I know that this is probably the last thing that you want to think about now, that during the spring break, which was like 3 months from now or 2.5, we are going to Hawaii and you are coming with us." I was like, I couldn't believe that. I was just like, okay, this thing works. I was just like, what on the earth, Like I had to go through this like uncomfortable, right? And then I was like, oh, you can make one of your dreams come true, without even buying the ticket myself. It was just insane.
Yeah, and it's important to make sure that we're going through those hoops along the way, like going over the obstacles, even if we don't even know the direct path. It's leading you towards what you want, even though it's still a big secret, right? If you do this, you'll get that, but we don't get to know that it's a straight path, and so you got to just keep choosing for it every day.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful way to sum up the episode on manifestation, right? So
And maybe if you want to share the stories of what you have manifested or like the crazy way how you have manifested something, please share, like message me or message Brian. I feel like I can speak on my behalf, but I have the feeling that Brian would also love to hear some of the stories.
yeah, definitely leave them in the comments below as well, and we can get in touch with you that way. In this episode, we really dive deep into how to manifest. We started with 3 laws of attraction and then went into a couple different manifestation stories of how I created 10,000 euros within a week, right? Really worried about money. And then also how Julia manifested a relationship by actually not focusing on the search, but focusing on being that in the moment. And then we looked into a little bit of research that we have done, right? Into the CIA's research on manifestation. And we gave you some direction on the neuroscience and the quantum physics that you can look into to free the mind into conscious manifestation. And then, of course, those 5 points in the manifestation process, how to really bring it in by being that. And now for your task of the week, last but not least, to really bring it into practice. So for 5 minutes a day, visualize something specific you want to attract in your life. Now, when you're starting the manifestation journey, I would start with something very simple and small, right? This could be, I'd like to meet someone new, or I'd like to receive a compliment from someone today, right? I would like something happy, something to come into my day that makes me happy, right? Starting really small and then really focus on your energy of having that, right? How it feels in the experience of, oh, that's happened. That feels great. So then we can really allow it. And the benefits of doing this are really clear. You're going to receive that instant feedback and then getting out of wanting things and start having things in your life and starting to tune into the energy of having it and bring it towards you even faster. So that those bigger things you want to manifest, that you'll actually believe that they can come in because you've started really small.
But also, you can be more specific than that, because I agree. I would suggest you to start small. But for example, you can manifest a free coffee, right? Or you feel like, oh, free coffee is a little bit too easy, right? Then you can go with something very specific. Let's say, like seeing a blue butterfly, or it could be someone saying something very specific to you, like complimenting, I don't know, something odd, right? Like this, yeah, you can really play with it to see if that works or not, but I can tell you it works. So just imagine that this is happening and how you feel about it. So, and also actually at the moment, I have this challenge going. It's the day 5. We have 6 more to go about manifesting money in January. So if you would like to join this challenge, there will be more details in the show notes. So you're more than welcome. And thank you so much for listening to us and coming back to the Joy Link. We really appreciate you, and we wish you to manifest all the beautiful things in 2025. If you find this episode helpful, make sure to subscribe to us on Substack or wherever you are listening to the podcast to get notified about new episode. And if you want to hang out with us more and maybe share your manifestation story over there, join our Facebook community. Make sure to enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Ciao.